Hey, what's up guys? Hardleg Joe here with the What a Deck profile for the Gem-Knight Toolbox deck 2016 version. I'm just going to go through everything in here and then I'll explain how it works. So we're playing one each of Garnet, Tourmaline, Sapphire, and Lapis. We're playing 3 Gem-Knight Alexandrite, 3 Obsidian, 3 Crystal Rose, and 3 Gem-Knight Lazuli. For our spells, we have 3 Gem-Knight Fusion, 1 Raigeki, 2 Dark Holes, 3 Absorbing Fusion, 2 Fusion Substitute, 3 Twin Twister, 2 Pot of Aquabra, 3 Brilliant Fusion, and 2 Refusion. Our only trap, 3 Magical Hats. For our extra deck, we're playing 2 Lady Brilliant Diamond, 2 Gem-Knight Master Diamond, 2 Gem-Knight Zirconia, 1 Prismura, 1 Citrine, 1 Ruby, 1 Topaz, 1 Aquamarine, 1 Lady Lapis Lazuli, and then we've got 3 Ixies in the form of Ragnazero, Silent Honor Arc, and Castel, the Skyblasting Musketeer. The side deck, I'll go over in a little bit. So this deck is a toolbox deck, which means its win condition sort of varies depending on what your opponent does. The idea is we have a whole bunch of different monsters in the extra deck that can do various things, and then we summon out whichever one is useful in our specific situation. So the main ones are Zirconia, which just has a shit ton of attack. We've got Prismura, this is send 1 Gem-Knight card from your hand to the graveyard to target 1 face-up card on the field and destroy it. Citrine, this one, if it attacks, your opponent cannot activate any spell, traps, or monster effects until the end of the damage step. Ruby does piercing damage and can also tribute another Gem-Knight to gain its attack for that turn. Topaz only has 1800 attack, but it can attack twice. And when it sends a monster to the graveyard by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the destroyed monster. Aquamarine's kind of our one defensive card. If this is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. And then we've got Lady Lapis Lazuli, which does burn damage. You can send 1 Gem-Knight from your main or extra deck to the graveyard to inflict 500 damage to your opponent for every special summoned monster on the field. So these 6 monsters, the ones I just explained, with the exception of Zirconia, these all have special summoning conditions. They're all a Gem-Knight monster, plus either a specifically named monster, or a monster of like a certain type. So Ruby is a Gem-Knight plus Garnet, and Citrine is a Gem-Knight plus a Pyro monster, which Garnet also is. That's why we play these 4 normal monsters. They're not really all that useful on their own, but their point is just to be used as material. That's why we only play 1 of each. You generally don't want to get these in your hand. You're going to be getting them out using either Alexandrite or Rose. Alexandrite has the effect that you contribute it to special summon a normal Gem-Knight monster from your deck. Rose, you can send 1 Gem-Knight or Melodious monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and this card's name becomes that monster's name until the end of the turn. So both of these can be used to get out any of these 4, whichever one you need to fuse at the specific time. And of course, if you have multiple copies, you could just turn this into any Gem-Knight, and that satisfies the other monster requirement you have on there. The other 2 Gem-Knight monsters we're playing, Obsidian and Lazuli, help you recycle things. Obsidian has the effect that when sent from your hand to the graveyard, you can target a level 4 or lower normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So if you send this to the graveyard either by fusion summoning it or discarding it with like Twin Twister, which is our big spell trap removal, then you're going to be able to summon one of these out of the graveyard. You get it back on the field, and then if you need to make another specific monster, you can do that. Lazuli gets its effect if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect from anywhere. You can target 1 normal monster in the graveyard and add that to your hand. So again, it lets you recycle these, and that activates, like if you use it with Fusion, if you Gem-Knight Fusion it, you can use Crystal Rose to send Lazuli from the deck to the graveyard, and then add 1 from your graveyard back to your hand. Probably most importantly, Brilliant Fusion. It lets you fusion summon any Gem-Knight monster from your extra deck by using monsters in your deck as fusion material. The attack and defense of that monster becomes 0 unless you discard a spell card, then its attack and defense go back to its original until the end of your opponent's turn. The big important thing about that is you can use it to get out Lady Brilliant. This is any 3 Gem-Knight monsters, and its effect is that you contribute any Gem-Knight monster you control to summon any of these other ones from the extra deck, ignoring their summoning conditions. So even if these get banished or you don't have access to them, you can summon any of these by tributing any of your other Gem-Knights, or even tributing itself if you have nothing else. So you can summon it with any 3 Gem-Knight monsters. Usually what you want to do is pick one of these ones that you think is going to be more useful to you, plus Lazuli, plus one of these ones that isn't as useful, and that way, not only are you summoning your monster, but when Lazuli hits the graveyard, you'll be able to add one of your normal monsters back. The only other fusion monster I didn't talk about is Master Diamond. He's the boss monster of this deck. He's also 3 Gem-Knight monsters, which can be a little difficult, but again, Lady Brilliant can just get him out instantly. His effect is you gain 100 attack for every gem monster in the graveyard, and once per turn you can banish a level 7 or lower Gem-Knight from your graveyard, and this card's name and original effect become the same as the banished monsters. So what's really good is say you summon something like Topaz, who has mediocre attack, but a pretty good effect, and then you use Lady Brilliant to tribute him for Master Diamond. Master Diamond can then banish Topaz, gain its effect, and it's now attacking twice with more than 3,000 attack, and every monster it destroys, you're doing that damage. Likewise, having something with more than 3,000 that your opponent can't activate card effects, that does piercing, all those are pretty good. Likewise, you can also do a massive amount of burn damage by having Lapis Lazuli. If you can get like 5 monsters on the field, using her effect will do 2,500, and then you can tribute her for Master Diamond, banish Lazuli from the graveyard, and use its effect to do another 2,500. So that's 5,000 or so burn damage in addition to whatever you're attacking with. So the only other cards I didn't really talk about are just things that either help you summon or help you recover from summon. We've got Absorb Fusion. This is going to let you add any Gem-Knight card from your deck to your hand. I mostly use it to get Gem-Knight Fusion if I don't have it, but if you do, you can grab any of your Gem-Knight monsters. It has a second effect that you can fusion summon by banishing the material from your hand or side of the field. You don't have to use that effect, and I normally don't because you don't want your monsters to be banished if you don't have to, but in a pinch, you can always use that. We've got Fusion Substitute. You can fusion summon using monsters on your field, which is not optimal. Its more important effect is that if there's a fusion monster in the graveyard, you can banish this to return that monster to the deck and draw a card. So this lets you recycle your fusion monsters, you put them back into the deck, and it lets you draw a card so you're going through your deck a little bit quicker. It's great discard fodder for Twin Twister, or you could discard it for Brilliant Fusion to put your Lady Brilliant back up to a 3,400 attack. So it's got a couple different things. It also works really well with Magical Hats. This lets you activate it during your opponent's battle phase, select 2 non-monster cards in your deck, 1 monster you control. You shuffle all 3 cards set face down on the field, and the 2 monsters from your deck are treated as monsters with 0 attack and 0 defense, and they're destroyed at the end of the battle phase. So what this means basically is if you're stuck where you can't fusion if you just have 1 monster card, you put it out, you put Magical Hats, and then if they try to attack it, not only is your monster possibly safe if they can't attack 3 times, but you get to set a Fusion Substitute and a Gem-Knight Fusion straight from your deck, and they'll get destroyed during the end phase. Fusion Substitute you can use from the graveyard to add more card advantage, and Gem-Knight Fusion you can actually get out of your graveyard by banishing any Gem-Knight from your graveyard. Normally, once you get Gem-Knight Fusion, you're using it multiple times a turn, because you can banish your Alexandrite or your Obsidian or your Lazuli. These are all prime targets, because once they're in the graveyard, they've served their purpose. You just use that to get Fusion back and then summon with the rest of them. This also, again, makes it a great target for Twin Twister, a great thing to discard with Brilliant Fusion, and a great thing to discard for Prismura's effect, because it's any Gem-Knight card. Finally, we have Refusion. This just pay 800 life points, special summon a fusion monster from your graveyard. Just a pretty good. You could do Call the Haunted just as well, but this is a little faster, and the 800 life points is barely a cost to get one of these back. Playing Pot of Acquisitiveness, which is target 3 banished monsters, shuffle them into the deck, draw a card. Again, it's more draw power. It also lets you recycle. If you've banished a bunch of your Gem-Knights, you can get them back. This is also kind of a good anti-meta card because it's not just your banished monsters, it's any banished monsters. So if you're playing against ABC and your opponent banishes A, B, and C to get out the dragon, they tribute the dragon to try to summon them back out of the banished zone, and you just send them back to the deck before he can. So they lose everything and you get to draw a card. Although sometimes it can be dead, which is why we only do 2. Put another one in the side deck just in case. And I think that's just about it. Oh, except for Dark Hole and Raigeki. And normally I don't like one-ofs, but these are essentially the same thing. Since you're going second, if you can get one of these first turn, you just clear their field and then attack for massive damage if you have the right hand. As for the side deck, it's mostly just more copies of things. If you find that you're going against a deck that has a specific weakness, then you can pop out one of your normal monsters and replace it with one of the other normal monsters so there's more chance you can get to it. Same thing with the fusions. If you're playing against something that can't be targeted, then you're not going to be able to use Prismura. Just switch it out for Citrine or maybe another Ruby or another Lapis Lazuli. There's the one I didn't play in the main deck. It's not all that useful now. So when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, return all set spell and trap cards on the field to the hand. This is good in the same way that Aquamarine is. You can make it and then use it as a stepping stone, and when it leaves the field, all their set cards go back. Unfortunately, most traps now that people are going to use are going to be things that are going to stop you from summoning in the first place, so it's not all that great. But if you're playing against someone who has like a lot of mirror forces, this could be a pretty decent side deck choice. Of course, I said another Pot of Acquisitiveness. Brilliant Spark is a neat card. It lets you, when your Gem-Knight monster you control is destroyed by your opponent's attack or card effect, you can inflict damage equal to its original attack. It works really well with like Lady Brilliant, because even if you summon her with Brilliant Fusion and she has 0 attack, your opponent can run over with anything, and then you'll inflict 3,400 damage. And also Dimension Barrier, which is just a great staple in general. If you wanted to go for a more like meta version, just take out the magical hats and put this in. So there's your deck profile for this week. I hope you enjoy. Gem-Knights are certainly one of my favorites. Hopefully I'll get to play them again next year. Next week, I'll be looking at Destiny board with the new support thanks to a Patreon request. Should be pretty interesting. Until then, good luck. Have fun.